the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself who taught you to hate being what he is.
Good afternoon, friends, family, loved ones, enemies, contributors, distractors. This is Kevin Lewis on The Blueprint, and this week's show is called Her Makeup. I'd like to thank a couple of y'all for showing up already. Tiffany, I appreciate you showing up to The Blueprint, and good afternoon. And Tracy, I appreciate you showing up also. And this week's show, like I said, is called Her Makeup, and this is a show that was done out of request. I put it like that. A couple of people asked me had I seen a video, and the video, and I'm quite sure some of y'all probably seen it. It's called You're Average at Best. Where it's Kevin Samuels' show. I guess he has a podcast or a show or something. And young sister, sister called in, and the video is about the conversation that ensued. And he's an image consultant, I guess. Has some kind of success in whatever field he's in, and I guess people call in and talk to him about certain things and things like that. I appreciate Isha and Didi also for showing up. But people was asking me, they asked me how I saw the video, and I didn't. And I saw memes about it or snippets of it. And I guess people making light of it and making jokes about it. It's not the type of thing that for me to be focused on or looking at. It never caught my attention, but a couple of people was asking me, had I seen it? And some people said, well, maybe that's something you should talk about. And they try to describe the events that transpired on the video to me. And I was kind of like, that's not my type of thing. I'm not doing like a Wendy Williams type, type thing. But then, after a while, I was like, you know what, maybe I consider it. Because I have a different perspective on some of those things that transpired. And like I said, I don't like to talk about the situations, particular situations, or focus on the situation. I like to talk about the circumstances surrounding the incident or the situation. So I end up looking at the video. The first thing that turned me off was the first thing, I'm not going to say, just looking at it. And what I got from it was her makeup, and that's what I want to discuss. Now, understand, when I'm talking about this is just from my perspective about things, and I don't like to generalize, and sometimes we have to, but if I'm not talking about you in particular, then there's no reason for you to get offended about things that I'm saying when I go across this topic, because this is what happens when I talk to any kind of friends, lady friends or whatnot, and I make a broad statement about certain women, and they get defensive, and I'm like, there's no reason for you to get defensive if that's not you. Some women could say, men are dogs. That's your perspective. That's how you feel. That's the men you dealt with. But when you sit up and you tell me all men are dogs, then you're saying something different. Then you add me into that category, and you probably don't know me like that, or you don't know all men. So that's when I will have some kind of objection to it, but I would bring that to light and say, well, you can't say all men because you don't know all men. You could say most men that you met or that you come across or that you know of. Then that makes that a better logical statement that you made, because I could say, well, most women I met are this, or any group, you know, and you can't tell me who I know and who I met. So then you can't argue with me about how I feel about the people that I've known and I've met. So this is what I come across a lot. So I just want to put that out there. Precursor. I'm talking about, if I'm not talking about you in particular, then you have no reason to be offended by anything that I'm saying. Now, the only person that I'm going to mention her name is Kevin Samuels, because that was the video that brought up this topic. And the lady was calling in to get some type of advice, and she felt like he was the one. She loved his show or whatever he talks about, different topics, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a fan or a follower. So she was calling in to get some type of help from him. And the conversation that ensued was him basically berating her and who she was and how she was as a person, and that she needed to look in the mirror, and she was at her own she was the reason for her own downfalls, basically. What I took away looking at him, to me, he's a clown in a suit. And I don't know the brother, I don't look at his shows, but anytime that this video should never have been posted, this is why I'm saying this. Anytime someone comes to you for help, even if they're the cause of their own downfall, you should never broadcast the help that you were giving them or that they were asking for and expose them in that light. This is the first thing I took away from this. This person, regardless of what her situation is or whether she was the cause of her own downfall or her situation, why would this be made public? And if his show was already public, he could have just got the show off like, okay, now I don't want to talk to you. I would talk to you in private. That's one thing. But he carried the show. That's his show. Anytime someone calls in, they want to talk about something you don't want to talk about, you could just say, hey, hit me on this. I'll talk to you later. But he said, I'm going to use this as a teaching tool. Meaning I'm going to use this conversation that I'm going to have with you so that everybody can see and learn. Not just a one-on-one session, because he told her she could call in or go to his website and get private consultation. So they didn't do that. He didn't choose to do that. The conversation that ensued was, I think he went over the line. People ask me, like, if you saw it, what do you think about him doing this? That's how I feel about him. I feel that he took an opportunity to give his opinion on somebody that he really don't know. You ask him questions while you go along and you steady berating these people. But to me, you also had a predetermined image in your head on who she was. And the thing that he did was say, this is the problem with black women. That's the issue with me. If I felt that it was a problem with any people or my people or anything like that, first of all, if any woman came to me with help, for help, about herself or what did I think about something like that, first of all, if I think that it was something wrong with what she was doing or how she was going about doing it, I have to understand within myself that the conditions that my people are in are conditions that we didn't put ourselves in. We have been conditioned to be a certain way. If I look at the whole history of our people, I understand why we do the things that we do, even though I may not like the things that we do. Why we are the way we are and act the way we act. My thing is I'm trying to fight for us to get out of those predicaments, to change the way we think, to look at things from a different perspective. I'm not even trying to change the way you think. That's up to you. But I just want to give you a different perspective of looking at things, and maybe my perspective. Adding on to a different perspective. The more perspective that you have, the better off you are able to see things in a different light. And you may think it's BS now, and like I don't believe in that. But somewhere down the line, something may click. Something somebody may have told me 2 years ago, 5 years ago. I keep that with me, and I say, you know what? At that time, it didn't reach me. But now I understand even better. Or something that I thought did reach me, and I felt like this was something, you know, I'm a little caveat I'm gonna carry along with me. It changes over time, and I say, you know what? This is, now I even appreciate this even more, or maybe I'm changing my mind. Basically, this is how I feel about the whole conversation that he had. My question is, and my issue is, black women, or women, period, going to a man for help about being a woman. That is another thing that I took away. I'd like to thank Queen Esther Williams for showing up. Appreciate you showing up to the Blueprint this week. That's another issue that I have, and that's something that I have. A lot of women would do that I've known. They will seek, you know, and I understand that. You going to the opposite sex about, hey, what's wrong with me? You should be asking yourself sometimes, you know, what do I need to do to improve? But I can't picture me as a man going to a woman and asking a woman, what do I need to do to be a better man? Unless I'm talking about my woman, if I had a woman or a wife or whatever, and I could ask her, well, what do I need to do to be better in our relationship? That's how I feel. That's the only thing that I could see me doing as a man, asking a woman. And women tend to do that. I mean, you ask somebody, it could be your man, you know, your husband. How do I look in this dress? Do this dress make me look fat? Do these jeans make me look like this? You know, a lot of times, I mean, I don't guess not. I don't think men do that. I don't think dude be like, yo, you think these jeans make me look fat? Or, you know, do whatever he's trying to achieve and whatever he don't want to be, you think this made me look too skinny? I don't think we go out generally to do that. But I think women seek approval for some reason. That's maybe a psychological thing. I've had people that I wouldn't in any kind of relationship would ask me certain things about their once you become friends and they ask you about, what do you think I should lose weight? Do you think, what difference it make what I think about what you should do? This is what my point is. That goes into your makeup. This is where the problem lies. And this is what I'm talking about, her makeup. For her to be, the guy continued to basically put her down. And my thing is, why did you continue that conversation? You could have had a private consultation if you wanted to, if you're looking for that. I don't understand that anyway, one way or another. I think a woman should be consulting another woman about, you know, whatever you feel about women. And I understand that sometimes you may ask somebody on the opposite sex to get a different perspective. But in general, the women that tend to do that is what I'm questioning. That constantly go to somebody else to especially when it's a man and he's berating you. He asked her, what does she think about herself? Rate yourself before you put your makeup on. Cosmetic makeup. She said, I'm about a 5. He said, after your makeup, I think I'm about a 6. This is part of her makeup. Anytime that someone asks you to rate yourself and you put yourself around average, this is something that says something about your makeup. Now, I've had a woman that tell me something one time, and this is what I say. I carry things that people say, and you may not think that I'm listening sometime or paying attention, but if you tell me something, I may carry it with me, and I may tell you 5 years later, I remember you said this at this time when I spoke to you. A woman told me one time, and I thought she was beautiful. I thought she was a gorgeous woman. In and out. She told me that she doesn't see herself the same way that other people see her. And although she may be getting a million compliments, she still doesn't see herself. And she told me, people see themselves different than what other people see them in them. And that stuck with me on different levels, because I'm saying, when I see other, like, people will put somebody up on a pedestal, Beyonce, Rihanna, whatever that ideal look is for somebody to say, well, this is a gorgeous woman. Sometimes those women don't see themselves the way other people see themselves. And I've had somebody else tell me something similar to that. And also in a different aspect of they saying, yeah, I know this is what people see. I know that. But I see me differently. I see me needing to do this. I see me wanting to do this to improve myself. And other women would look at them and be like, if they heard them say that, they'd be like, bitch, please, you think you all of this and that. I had a conversation with a woman this week that has her own business, and we got in a conversation, and the thing was about cosmetic surgery. And when you look at someone and you say, well, okay, this person is beautiful. And I think I like a couple of years ago when I was doing the show, and basically about who taught us to hate ourselves, and I was shocked to see that some of the women, most beautiful black women that we thought was at that point, had actually had some kind of cosmetic surgery, some type of nose job, movie stars that we thought was like kind of beautiful, we thought was a natural beauty, and it wasn't, because they got something done. And my thing was, it's something in our makeup that makes us not see the beauty within ourselves. And I think no one should be satisfied I don't think people should be discouraged about themselves. I put it like that. But for some reason, and it's not a black thing, a white thing, an Asian thing, or whatever, a lot of people do this. Many people do this. Now, I'm all for wanting improvement and thinking that you should improve yourselves. And the thing about improvement is, as we get older, our physical features change. Our physiques change. And I understand people wanting to work out and be healthy and do things like that, or take care of their skin, or change their diet because I'm gaining weight, I'm doing this, and this is not what I want, a desired effect that I want, and I want to change this. And you're fighting a losing battle, actually, because we all are going to get old, and there's nothing we could do about it. And a lot of us turn to cosmetic surgeries. A lot of us try different things. That's within our makeup. Within her makeup, and I'm not just talking about the woman on the show, her is that woman that's constantly trying to do things to please men or please other people, and she will tell you that she's trying to do it to please herself. And this is something that I don't believe in most of them. Now, there's some people that say, well, I'm just doing this for me, and sometimes they're doing it for health reasons. They say, well, I'm trying to lose weight because my doctor said I need to, or I think it's unhealthy, or I had somebody die in my family. I remember making a comment when somebody close to me died. They had a weight problem, both on family member and one of my best friends. And I made a comment on social media, because where I work, or where I used to work, I used to go other places in town and other neighborhoods, and I would see those people running and jogging and doing things like that. And when you lose somebody close to you because of their weight, and I was beckoning black people, I don't see many of us going out jogging, many of us doing things like that. And I'm just talking about healthy things. I'm not talking about the cosmetics of it. I was beckoning us to do more walking, running, and things like that. Somebody took it as a joke, and they kind of said some things that I would have took as insensitive because you didn't know what I was talking about. You didn't know I was saying this because somebody died. Somebody close to me died. Couple of people close to me died. And I was trying to beckon us to do better health-wise and not make light of that. But somebody came on making light of it, but they don't understand. Now, for some reason, we would do these things if we want to look better to somebody else. But we won't do these things to be better for within ourselves and our family. That's something that we have to change within our makeup. Now, the things that this guy was saying, he was asking a woman. Now, these are different things that's on the video that I have issues with. And I'm going to go back to the video for a second about a couple of things. The reason I said he was out of line because he's trying to speak for men. She may have been at fault also. Now, I'm not, absolving her for her issues that she was talking about or talking about having men with money and things like that. But he came at her at a way of saying, well, do you have kids? Yes, I have a kid. He's whatever, 13, whatever, young teen. And he was like, don't no man want no woman with no kid. Why would, that's luggage. And I know many women has heard this before. Many women that I've met and I've heard, they may have said that at one point or another. Well, my ex told me, something to that effect. Ain't nobody gonna want you with no baby. Or women may feel, well, I already got a baby, and I'm not with the baby daddy anymore. And basically, like, my options are gonna be minimized. And at a certain age, I believe that may be true. When I was a certain age, as a young man, a young immature man, those things were in my mind. Okay, this woman, she got a kid. I don't want to deal with that. She's not a keeper if she has kids. And I'm talking about, I'm 20 years old, 21 years old, things like that. That's a different dynamic that I don't have to deal with if I don't want to. And I understand that mindset. But also when I was a young, immature man, I had different things in my mind about how a woman's supposed to look and what I was after. And if she didn't fit that bill, then I probably didn't. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think people do that basically all the time. The first thing we see is image. That's why we see it. That's the first thing we see is image. And after that, you start to see other things and other qualities in people. And sometimes people will surprise themselves and say, well, like, this is not even the type of person that I'm normally attracted to, but for some reason, I'm attracted to this person. We start seeing other qualities in people. And I think this is a point of maturity, that you start broadening your horizons. There's a lot of people think that we do it when we start to get older because the field is shrinking. The selections are shrinking. You tend to be more selective when you're younger. You have a whole field out there. A lot of fish out there in the sea, like they say. But then when you start getting older, those fish a lot of those fish are taken. So people tend to broaden their selection. Everybody's trying to find that one somebody that they want to spend the rest of their lives with. But I said as a young man, I used to think in those ways. But as I got older and more mature, I understood that that's what came with a lot of situations. That you're going to be dealing with somebody that has kids. And 9 times out of 10 is from a male perspective because most women are going to have their kids. So we have to mature. The advice that he was giving her was like, don't nobody making 6 figures want no woman with a kid. I don't agree with that. It's not an immature man that's making six figure want to deal with a woman with kids. If you want to deal with that woman, you're going to deal with everything that comes along with that woman. If you want to deal with that woman. If you don't want to deal with that woman, you're going to look for excuses not to deal with that woman. Or you're going to deal with that woman until you look for a reason or an excuse to stray away and keep doing something else. That's an immature mind in a man. The other thing that he was telling her, she's probably going to die alone. And she doesn't qualify for the man that she wants in her life. And to me, these are all harsh things to tell anybody. You should be shooting, your best shot at whatever. And the first shot you should be taking is at yourself and with yourself to improve yourself. And a lot of mistakes that I think people make is trying to do it with makeup. Now, this is just me personally. I think a lot of times that when you try to cosmetically change yourself, like she said, when I wake up, I'm a 5. When I put my makeup on, I'm a 6. Now that, that's how you feel about yourself. How do you think somebody else is going to feel about you? If they catching you now, only time when you start dating, you got makeup on. This is how you meet that man. The same thing you do with makeup and putting on your best look, he's going to put on his best facade. He's going to tell you, this is how I am as a person. This is how I am as a man. This is, and actually some of that may be BS. Some of that may be just to get to where you want to be. Same thing with makeup, to get you where you want to be. Some people say, well, I look better with makeup. Or I do this and that. And as long as you're not. Now, my thing is, being a makeup artist and being a special effects artist is two different things. Wearing some makeup, wearing these and little enhancements is different than, special effects. Because when you start looking like a totally different person, then to me, that's trickery. That's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about her makeup, though. Comment from Tiffany, she said, it's human to seek validation. Let me scroll down. To seek validation of your peers at a certain age. At our age, 40 and above, we don't seek to get opinions as readily. The way he publicly berated her and clearly tried to embarrass her was my issue. He's supposed to be a professional and a leader in his specialty. This is why she sought his validation and expertise. Unfortunately, I don't own that bone in my body. I never seek opinions from folks who are not affected by my decisions. I appreciate those comments, and I appreciate RC for showing up. Now, I think as we do get older and mature, now she was 35, I think she said, but I still see women that seek the approval, and this is this is the validation that I'm referring to. And this may not be you. You don't have that bone in your body, and that's good. And this is what I think should happen. If anybody asks me about their self, if a sister come to me and say, hey, this is what I don't like about myself, and I would say, well, try to improve that. My advice to her, now to me, he's a professional because he's making money, but he's terrible when he's dealing with our women. He may be successful in making money at whatever he do, but to me, as a man dealing with a black woman, a black man dealing with a black woman, he's terrible. He's a clown to me. I don't care about your money and your paycheck that you're making. We should be uplifting each other. If somebody's seeking help from you, the first, what should be going on in your mind is, how can I help you if you're asking me for help? If I can't help you in a certain way that you're asking for, or only thing that I could do is give you advice, then I'll try to do that. But he was berating her. That gave him looks. That's why we're talking about this today, because of what he did and how he did it. But if a person comes to me and say, hey, what do you think I need to do? What, you know me. This is a situation where he doesn't know her. He's constantly asking her questions. If a woman came to me and say, hey, what do you see and how do you see it with me? I give my opinion. And one of the things I'm going to say is, really, it doesn't really matter if I'm not the one that you're doing it for. If you're doing it for you, then that's a different thing. My thing is, look at yourself and tell me what you think you should improve with. Now, if you're asking me how you think you should go about improving those things, if somebody said, well, you know what, I think I'm a little too heavy, what do you think I should do about that? I might give you some advice. That's all I could do. Or if they ask me, do you think I'm too heavy? Too heavy for who? I can't speak for no other man but me. Do you think I'm too skinny? To who? For who? If you're talking about for me, then we can have that conversation, but I can't tell you what's going to attract somebody else. Now, if somebody's coming to me like that, I'm going to talk to them in different layers like that. You got to be happy with yourself. And a lot of times when people try to be happy, or a lot of these women their happiness comes from how other people see them. Their happiness comes from how other people see them. And you can act like it's not, and people put on a facade and act like, well, you know what, nah, I'm this, I'm that, and I'm confident in who I am. If you're a big girl and you say, you know what, sexiness, it has nothing to do with size and all this, and I hear all that, that's great. But then if you be like Monique, I remember Monique used to talk all that, you know, skinny bitches and blah, 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 and I'm a big girl and big girls is this and that, and then that's part of her show, part of her persona. And then she turn around and she do everything she can to lose weight. So that tell me that's a facade. Because you was this way, you put on that facade to say that I don't like this. Now my thing is with this, this is what the discussion I was having with somebody that was constantly trying to improve themselves in certain ways that I'm going to talk about. She was like, women are harsh with other women. Women don't pick other women up unless they're their friends. And women have sat up there and said, well, I don't like her. And if you're a big girl, you don't like this girl because she's something that you aspire to be like or wish that you were like. A lot of women that don't have your physique will sit there and put you down, saying that you think you're all of this or you whatever. And I've had women that say, you know what, I have problems with women, girls in school, women out of school, for no reasons, and they didn't know me. And they'll tell me things like, I think I'm pretty, or they'll tell somebody else she thinks she's this or she thinks she's that. And they say it's a lot of jealousy. But that's within that girl's makeup. When you see something that you aspire to be and then you don't like it when you see it in somebody else, instead of complimenting somebody for how they are and what they're doing. A lot of people have problems complimenting other people. Now, men, that's not in our makeup. I'm not going to say, yo, dude, your muscles is, you know, because he going to look at me like, what the hell you talking about? You know, that's not going to happen. You know, not when we're talking about physical things. Physical. Women may, hey, man, like, you know, a dude may say something about the shoes you have on or the boots or, yo, those is nice. But that's probably about as far as it go. And I might think and say, yeah, you know, I think if those was a different color, I like them joints. And I might ask them, where you get them from? And me doing that is letting him know that I appreciate those joints and you know, whatever. Women are going a different, they more liberal with that. You know, they compliments that they pay you on social media, it's a little more different than what a dude would do. I'm not going to see no dude dressed a certain way on social media and say, yo, dude, them jeans is on point. That's not going to happen. I don't even like the fact that I just said that. That's not going to happen. A woman will say, you know, you sexy. I see you, you know, beautiful, blah, 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 blah. That's not, so y'all built a little different. I understand that. And I wish it was a woman on here that was talking to me with me talking about this conversation from two different aspects, but all I could give you is from a male perspective and what I see from talking with women about certain things. The woman I was talking about a lot of jealousies between women, a lot of competition between women. That competition and jealousy is why the woman told me herself that she had cosmetic surgeries done. Now, the cosmetic surgery thing, that's a whole different topic. When you're rating yourself, you have self-value. If somebody asks me about me, I'm gonna be like, what you think what you rate yourself? I'm like, how? I'm gonna be like, how? Rate me as what? And I'm like, shit, I'm the best I could be. I don't care about no rating system. I'm not gonna rate nobody higher than me no matter what. Or what? I don't see nobody like that. I don't look at people like that, period. First of all, you talking about rating my paycheck, then I say, yeah, well, Floyd Mayweather, Jay-Z, yeah, them dudes make a lot more money. I don't value money like that. But yeah, they make a lot more money. That's the only thing I could rate somebody on, something like that. If you're talking about looks, I don't look at myself like that. I don't look at another dude like that. I care less about who this woman thinks is a better looking person, because I'm about the person that I am. I'm not about all those little other superficial things. This is what I'm saying about rating yourself. You don't just rate yourself by appearance. A lot of things that women do are become based on appearance. A lot of things that men do with women is based on appearance. A woman could be a knucklehead with a bad attitude. The dude will still be after her if her physical appearance is something that he desires. That should be a turn off for people. For most people. But it's not. A lot of times the things that you do to yourself shows me a lot about you. If you are willing to risk things like cosmetic surgery to make yourself look for that desired effect that you say, well, I'm doing this for me, and actually you're not doing it for you. Because a lot of times people tell them that lie to themselves. If you're doing it for you, you could hang around your house and your hair could be wild, and you say, well, I'm doing it because I'm not going nowhere. But now with social media, people will pop on, they're like, oh man, my hair look a mess, this. Your hair was looking like that when you woke up. You seen yourself look bad at certain, how you consider what you consider bad. Until you go out in public, then you want to change. Or you bring the public inside your house and you're about to do a video or post pictures. There's a lot of times that people be like, nah, don't take my picture. I'm looking a total mess. But you was okay looking a mess until other people will see that mess or what you consider a mess. I understand that. We have to understand that. A lot of things that we do, we're not doing for our self-satisfaction when we're talking about appearance. A lot of things that a lot of these women do, they do to please the opposite sex. A lot of things that men do, they do to please the opposite sex. I understand that. But I'm talking about her makeup because I'm talking about this video. And I think that on the woman's side is where the struggle comes in. Because I think women go way out of their way to change things about themselves to please a man. A woman I was talking about changed, implants, things like that, and basically said, well, I got a husband that's younger than me and I gotta keep up because I don't want him to stray. And to me, that's something about her makeup or their makeup. A woman is always going to be worried about a different and newer model. And my analogy would be, you are this model. This is who you are. You're going to get years behind you. There's going to be somebody else coming up that you're not going to be able to physically compete with in this man's eyes. If a man seeing a woman to be a certain way, he's always, those women are always going to be around. And if you're going to be worried about that, you're going to be chasing ghosts. If you 30 in your late 30s and you worried about some woman in her early 30s that's not at that age, that's, time hasn't taken a toll like it's taken on you, then you're going to constantly be fighting a losing battle. You have to be confident in yourself and who you are, and confident in the person you're with and who he is. This is the problem that I think that a lot of people are dealing with. They say 18 million people had cosmetic surgery in 2018 in America. 8 million people, 18 million people had some type of cosmetic surgery. Now, granted, some of those surgeries are like tumors, removing tumors, birth defects, things like that. I understand that. But if you look at what's happening, and most of these people that's having these plastic surgeries are women. Now, some people say, well, men have plastic surgeries too. Yeah, they do. But I don't think men, the number one plastic surgery that they had that in America was breast augmentation. Some type. And I don't think those are men. That's the number one out of the surgeries, plastic real surgeries that in America. Almost 300,000 people. This was in 2019. 2018, it was a little bit more. That number went down 4% from 2018 to 2019. The number one surgery that women had was breast augmentation. So if you're a woman that's not, or whatever cup, small breast or whatever, and you're getting breast surgery, you can't tell me you're doing that for you. You're doing that because that's what society thinks is sexy. You could tell me all you want, but this is what I think. Because society is telling us what's sexy and what's not. The number two thing was liposuction. That's up 3% from 2018. Just 265,000 people had liposuction last year. That's a lot of people. After that was eyelid surgery and nose reshaping. And a facelift, basically a facelift. That was 125,000 people had facelift. And that's basically older people, people that's fighting that age thing. I understand that. People want to be forever young, or they think that aging is a bad thing, but breast augmentation and the fixation with breast is not with women. I think the fixation with breast is with men. I may be wrong, but to me, I think that's what a lot of women that's well endowed would be like, dude, pay attention, up here. So if you don't like that, or you seeing that in somebody else and you think that's what's attractive to that man, you want to be like her, and you don't think that what you have is enough, then that's what you're going to do. That's within your makeup, chasing somebody else. Now, the other thing, where most of the surgeries are the minimal invasive surgeries, the Botox. That was the number one thing. 7.7 million people had Botox type A. Or soft tissue fillers was the number two thing. And chemical peels is the third thing. That was when you got acne in your skin, the skin things, you changing things in your skin. I understand those type of things. Laser hair removal. I think that's probably a woman thing. Women with facial hairs, you want that stuff where you ain't got to be shaving, they getting razor stuff. I understand that. But I think the cosmetic surgery and the women that put themselves at peril doing things like that, putting breast implants in, then trying to get breast implants removed, all because of what you think is attractive to somebody else. And for those people that say, you know what, that's BS, I only do this, and you could say you only do this for you, for what you think is attractive. But there's an article that was released, and this is something I also came across in school. I think when I was at the art school, they were talking about women's bodies over the centuries, how what became attractive changed, and whatever that became attractive at that time. Now the thing is, women don't get to decide what's attractive to men. So this is a male-based thing, or what was the attractive thing or the most attractive woman body was at those times. And it's an article that was put out by Fashion History. It's talking about the last 3,000 years of women beauty. And at that time, like in ancient Egypt, when ancient Egypt or Kemet was the forefront of society, that Egyptian type body, that slender body, slender, narrow shoulders, high waist, symmetrical face, that was the thing of beauty at that time. For basically a couple of thousand years, everybody wanted that look. That was the main thing that seemed to be the sexy thing. I'm gonna say like that, sexy thing. Then, of course, after the Egyptians, the Greeks took over. What was the body type at that time? And I'm talking about from 500 to 300 BC. The Greeks had more chunkier bodies. So their women, their body types, that the chunky thing became the main thing. Plump women, full body women. You had to be light skinned. There was, basically that was the body type that everybody wanted. Then the Han Dynasty took over, or during that time, the Han Dynasty was also existing, and that's like the Asian type. And so that Asian type body, to having pale skin, large eyes, small feet, and the Asian women were doing things to help that small foot look, deforming themselves basically. So if you're saying that it's not about what men want, then I'm telling you history. During the Italian Renaissance, and that was from 1400 to 1700 AD, and that was a different body type. They were the forefront of civilization at that time, or thought they were, and they wanted big breasts. That became the thing. A round stomach, that was sexy to people back then. The artists, you see the pictures that they were painting of the women, or the nude women. She was kind of full figured, full hips, what they call birth rearing hips or something like that. That was the thing. That's what they were teaching me in school at that time. Also, when we used to do art, I went to a magnet school where we had art class for like 3 hours a day, and we had sculpting and things like that. And I used to have to do painting, different things like that. But we also had to learn the history of art, and this is what the thing that they were saying. And when we go to museums, they were saying, well, this type of body is what was the thing at that time. And this is what that article was about. They wanted the full hips, child wearing hips and things like that. And in England, from 1800 to 1901, 1837, the body type was the normal England, woman from England type. Plump. They wanted women to be plump. That was healthy to them. That means that you were healthy. You could have a lot more kids or have healthier births. Full figured. A clenched waist, whatever that means. And they wore corsets to achieve that body type. They wore corsets not to just like the ones that we think of to tighten their stomachs, the waist. They wore corsets to make themselves look fuller at that time. Then you come into the Americas. You had the roaring 20s, and it was a very slender body type. You was flat chested. That was what was sexy. You didn't have these big old things in the way. They downplayed the waist. The waist wasn't that important. The way that it was almost like a boyish type figure. That's how they described it. Then the Hollywood age came about in the 30s and the 50s. The golden age of Hollywood. They wanted a different body type. They wanted women to be more curvy, have an hourglass figure, large breasts, and a slim waist. So women were going out. This is what those women that became sex symbols were projecting. And so a woman, and this is what men were looking at and saying, well, okay, this is what's hot now. And women to follow with the men and say, okay, this is what's hot now. So then you would try to be like that. And if you wasn't that, you had lower self-esteem. If you didn't have a way to make yourself like that, you had lower self-esteem. Now I'm running down the historical guideline of what's happening to know where we're at today. The swinging 60s, you know, was a different thing. You had the different models or the different sex symbols that was out, and it changed. You know, you were thin again, slim, not all curvy and stuff. Long legs was the thing. Had like an adolescence physique is what they called it. Then you had the supermodel era in the 1980s. You know, when you had the Bo Derek type movies out, and everybody was talking about that was a 10. To whom? But what I'm saying is that men are telling women what's sexy and what's not. Like if you say, I'm asking a man what's sexy to you, but in general, in the culture, men tell women what's sexy. Women will tell men what's sexy to them. If women didn't like beards, men wouldn't be wearing beards. I guarantee you that. If that wasn't the thing to you know, or if they accept it, and there's a lot of, I know some women like, man, trim your face, cut your face. I'm like, well, you ain't really my woman or nothing, so I appreciate how you feel. Or she's not talking about me, period, but she's talking about dudes, period. I'm like, okay, but I really don't care how somebody else feel. That's my attitude. You know, in the 90s, it was like they call it the heroin chic. Thin, long legs. That's what people thought was sexy. And now, of course, the postmodern beauty age, what they call it from the 2000s, the athletic look. Everybody wants to go to the gym now. Everybody thinks that they need to lose weight. Now, what I'm getting at is nature doesn't change with society. You are born, nature puts out different models in women. Like a car. They put out some of the women that, you know, fit each one of these eras that I was talking about. And at one time, how society saw things, you may have been the one at the forefront of being sexy. But you're letting other people tell you what's sexy at that time. And then if you don't reach, or if you don't fit into that mold, then you're doing everything you can to fit into that mold. Okay, my breast's not big enough. At one time, people didn't even desire. If they're talking about women, they're talking about men desiring what they thought was sexy for an era. And I'm saying women go out their way to change things cosmetically now, putting themselves in peril to change the way they look. With us as black people, we did this in America for acceptance. A lot of our artists and our singers and celebrities, they got their nose jobs done. They didn't get their nose jobs to be more Afrocentric. They got it to be more European, because that's who was running our country and telling us our standards of beauty. And a lot of us don't even realize the things that we're doing are coming from a European aspect of beauty and a European standard of beauty. A lot of us don't want to accept that. But it's right there in your face. You know, who do you think is who did you think was the male figure that was most beautiful at certain times, you know, in your life or whatever? For a long time, a dark-skinned black man was not the thing of beauty. I grew up with that. People was color struck. That's what they call it. You had to be looking like El DeBarge or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it was. And I understood that. Now, I didn't sit there. I'm not sitting up here complaining about my, you know, my private life or nothing like that. But I'm saying I knew that's what it was. I knew how it was. But who set those standards? And for black people, we had to understand, like, we can accept that European standards exist for us as a people. As a woman, you have to understand that these males are setting standards for your beauty and your bodies. What you are accepting from somebody else telling you what's beautiful. And what you should be accepting as being beautiful is what you see in yourself as being beautiful. this is the whole thing what I'm talking about in your makeup. Just like Tiffany was saying, she don't have those type of bones in her body. We have to get rid of those type of bones in our body. If you want to have some type of surgery, have some type of mental surgery to get rid of that ideology of other people's standards of beauty. What's been conditioned into you to think that this is what's beautiful. And this, if this is not what I have, then this is what I need to get to be beautiful. Another thing that I tell women, this is my advice that I tell women. I think women are anglers. Women are, y'all fish with bait. Y'all fishermen and y'all fish with bait. Y'all lure. Y'all do. And whether people admit it or not, you do things. You dress certain ways. You know when things is making your body look a certain way, and you like, I like the way these fit, and I know I'm banging, and you'll go out there and people take pictures, and they take the same pictures when they trying to. You look at yourself from the front, you look at yourself at an angle to see your hips, and you look at yourself from that back shot. Not that you're not gonna be looking at yourself from the back when you walking. Your girlfriends, it ain't for your girlfriends to be looking at you from the back when you walking. You want to be banging. I understand that. But that's how it is. I understand that. And women, you attract bait. And if your thing is attracting a man is with physical attraction, sexual, being sexy, selling sex, that's part of the norm in this society, then you can't be mad at a man for seeing you for sex, as a sex object. If that's what you're out there projecting yourself as. There's already women out there at old car shows in bikinis. That has nothing to do with selling a car. But somebody's paying them to do that, that's fine. Women out there, cheerleaders, I mean, all these aspects of how society uses sexuality in women to sell. And I'm saying in women because you don't see dudes on the side of damn basketball games that would be some kind of stripper or some that, out there as cheerleaders. They don't do that. They appease men. They use women to do that. Women agree to do that. But then you turn around in society and say it's misogynistic. Or you complain and say, well, all he wants from me is sex. Or he only wants me for my body. And when he's done with your body, he's gone. Because you're not selling yourself and you're not improving yourself in any kind of other aspect. And that's not what you're putting in the forefront. Get to know me. I understand all of this. Excuse me. I understand all of this. That got your attention. But we're not going off of me having your attention. And that's where the problem comes. Because you think that, okay, this is how I'm going to get a man. If I show off this and my curves and all this stuff like that. You got his attention with your curves and stuff. That's all he's basically lusting for. You're attracted with lust and they're getting mad when you're not finding love. That's what I'm saying. Hip implants, breast implants. You could say, well, I'm doing this for me. People say, well, I'm getting breast reduction. I understand that. And I'm not knocking that. I understand that. You say that's physical, but liposuction, all this stuff like that, that's not going to make you healthy. That's not going to be a healthy thing. The part of being healthy with that is working to get those things done. When you say, well, you know what, I walk every day. That's more than just losing weight. People will be losing weight and still not being healthy. If you're doing it for your health, then you should be changing your diet and changing everything that got you in that predicament. Or it may be natural. You know what I'm saying? I understand that. But what I'm saying is whatever you use for bait, and what an angler does, anybody out there that go fishing, if you're trying to catch catfish has a certain mode of hunting or the way you catch them. They're bottom feeders. Catfish don't like to be chasing and doing all that stuff like that. They don't like to be out there. They sit at the bottom and wait for things. Things that normally go to the bottom is things that die. They're bottom feeders. Things that's easily caught. If you want to catch a different type fish, a bass or something like that, those are more athletic fish. They can chase things. They work for their food. And if you're going to be just a lazy thing, or just, okay, I'm going to catch them based on this urge or this sense of lust and stuff like that, they're not having to do much to chase you. They don't have to put much into their imagination. This is what you're selling. You're selling yourself when you go out there. I'm talking about things that a lot of people don't want to look at or try to change within themselves. This is how I feel. And we're comfortable doing the things we do, but then we complain about that. We complain about how men see women. We complain about the Me Too era. When, you become an object. Stop becoming an object. And a lot of times people say, well, what about the man? That's their fault. If that's all they see, if that's all they want, blah, blah, blah. The thing that I would say to that, you're right. If that's what all the man sees, then you know what? That's what you should guide against. Because the bottom line is, if I had a car lot with expensive cars, no one, if somebody came to that lot to drive the car on a test drive, every mile that was going on that car was depreciating the value of that car. And some people just came there with no intention to keep that car or buy that car, but they just wanted to ride that car. It behooves me to filter those people out. If I got a car lot full of Porsches, Lamborghinis or whatever, and people come in there talking about I want to test drive it. Well, what's your bank account look like? Well, you work at Walmart. I don't think you can afford this. I'm not going to let you drive that car off the lot because you're depreciating the value of that vehicle. And all you're going to do is say, I rode that car and I turned it back in. I have no intentions of keeping it. That's my analogy for a lot of the women that I'm talking about. You don't let everybody ride. You don't let everybody get a test drive. You make sure that they have the credentials that it's going to take and that they really want to take that car home and keep it. Now, I understand joyrides, whatever, but I'm saying you're depreciating your value when you put your value in somebody that their value is just physical. If they think more of you for that, then that's, things have got to change. And I understand that it's nothing that's going to change overnight, but I'm just saying, look at the figures of plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery, Botox. And that's not, of course, a lot of us don't do the Botox thing unless we, want fuller cheeks or something like that. But a lot of the stuff that we do and a lot of the pains that we go through, a lot of the makeup that we putting on and we throwing on trying to change, the eyelash thing is a big thing now. 5 years ago, that wasn't a big thing. 10 years ago, it wasn't a big thing. It used to be the eyebrows at one point. It was always something. The lips, the gloss or whatever was the focus of everything. That keeps changing. But my thing is, when I looked at the video, my problem was it's in her makeup. She's at a low self-esteem place. She's looking for somebody to give her some kind of esteem and advice. If that guy would have told her, you know what? It's the guys you're dealing with. If they can't see your beauty, then that's on them. Keep doing what you're doing. And she would have felt good about herself. She would have been in the same place, but feeling better about herself. You got to stop going to these type of people to seek advice on you being better for yourself. If you rate yourself at 5, well, what's going to make you an 8? What's going to make you, if you're a 5, then why are you not, what are you doing to improve that? Why do you see yourself as that low or that average? You told me that you was average, so then you're average at best. And time's going to keep taking its toll. And if you're average now, what are you going to be 2 years from now? You're going to be adding on more makeup, trying to please somebody else with cosmetics. That's the show this week. I went off my normal topic, but I appreciate y'all showing up and bearing with me. Kevin Lewis on the Blueprint. Hopefully I have a better show for y'all next week. Peace.
To respect our women and to protect our